Da-da-da-da. Yo, yo, yo. What up, everybody? What is going on in the hoods? What's going on in the hood? How's everybody doing? Heck yeah. All right. Everybody in. Hey, look, we got a little action in the market today. The PPI numbers have come out, and they've been holding up pretty. The market's holding up so far. It looks like, if we're looking at this properly, PPI final in demand expectations, the actual 0.2 expecting 0.3, PPI year over year 3.3 expecting 3.3 to 3.5, core actual 0 expecting 0.3. So you got a little bit of, maybe a slight beat of expectations there. Not a big one, but it might be enough, because we are on all sorts of levels of support. All sorts of levels of support. You can see here on the SPY, we really we pulled back to the lower Bollinger Band. We got pretty oversold here. And, we also pulled back really to the anchored VWAP of, since the run has started in August. And so I think we've got some easy locations. The follow through will be the most important. If we look at, the market itself, the Qs I thought had a little bit more juice to go, but, we got pretty oversold. And then if you look at just market breadth in general, on the T2108, we're really in the 20s, which is a significant oversold level. And the T2107, which is the percentage of stocks over the 200-day moving average, is lower than it's really been any time, right, in about a year, since November of 2023. So we're getting into a sweet spot where probably the market could use a little bit of bounce. And we're also seeing risk assets also pop this morning. So we got a handful of things going that I think are important, and we could get some follow through today. So hey, Trent, how you doing, baby? So let's see what else we got going on. Now, I think one of the things we'll need to do is, I didn't see much of a reaction from all the TLT so far. So I think that's going to be something to keep track of also. So let's get into this. Let's dig through this bad boy, because that's the one thing we'll have to see is that, are the bonds actually having any follow through? So the TLT's just been grinding down, putting a lot of pressure on the markets. And this has had no reaction from this PPI news. And so we want to be a little bit careful today. My worry is that if this inflation news doesn't really impact the interest rates or the bond market, then the pressure on the market is still there. And, we may run right into a lot of supply zones and just fade off. And so we'll have to be a little bit careful today, right? Boop. So let's take a look, because, if you look here, man, everything is popping right now. So we are getting some follow through, right? You got NVIDIA up 2%. You got MU up 2%. You got, this Palantir was one of my faves, right? This one is also up 2%. And then you got Tesla, right? Tesla also just cooking and booking at a big close, 319 to 404. And then you got to gap up into it. That's setting up pretty nicely there too. So we got all sorts of stuff going on here. So beyond that, let's take a look at the IWM. You could see yesterday we held at the 200-day moving average, and now we're gapping up right back into some supply zones. And so we'll have to kind of be mindful. But there was a good spot yesterday to add some cheddars if you could find it. And I've noticed that this thing loves to bounce off the 200-day moving average. It's been doing it for right over a year. So we're in a spot where probably we got a little bit of upside on this. Once again, the key is going to be these damn rates. We got we got nothing so far on this thing. Let's first dig into and see if we got any good earnings plays, any PR places. There are a couple out there. And then from there, let's start digging into all the other little fun things we gotta do. All right, here, give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. Let's start taking a look and see what we got going on here. I think this was a buyout. These are all small cap stocks. Bum, 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 bum. Now, what do we got over here? This is the old Riley. I mean, this stock's a big turd, but you are getting some action here. B. Riley files 10Q for quarter ending. Discloses permanent cash balance, blah, blah, blah. So they actually filed something. Hey, something like this, sometimes if it gets some liquidity going, it actually could follow through. I'm not I'm not going to be trading these little turds, but that's probably, if anybody likes these cheaper names, that's probably right up your alley. APLD's got a PR out too. Let's take a look. Now it's already fading off a little bit here. Bum, 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 bum. APLD secures $5 billion financing facility with Mercury Asset to expand HBC campus, repay some debts. I mean, it's like $1 billion company. How are they getting $5 billion? Hey, this might be, this might be it might be a little something something here. Look, and the reason I say that is that, this price range of stocks has been just red hot of recent. And you got a spot here. I'm not sure this is anything significant. If we got a spot here, if we could start to clear out, man, that could get a little bit juicy because you got a lot of potential room to the top. It's already got 12 million shares in volume. Let's see what that thing's got. Let's add it. VRME, man, this thing is already dusted. Hey, KBH has got its earnings out too. They got a nice little pop on this bad boy. Fourth quarter results, top street views amid gains in deliveries, net orders. This could be a little bit of a rebound play now. Home builders, for me, suck the trade. They just don't have any liquidity, but that's not a bad look right there. TGTX provides Q4 revenue guidance, says total revenue. Hey, now this stock actually has a history of making some moves. You're up 11%. It looks like they're kind of pre-announcing or giving some guidance on what's going on. This may be a little something something. I'm into it. Let's add that bad boy. Let's add this bad boy. Let's see. My worry on this is twofold. Number one, you're opening up at the 50-day moving average, but you can kind of bust over that pretty quick. It's only 100 million share float. But the big hairy Indian butts that, the liquidity so far is a little bit light. Now, it does do normally 4 or 5 million shares, but, in the 100,000 is a little bit on the light side if you got a decent PR out. I'm going to add it, but we'll need to see a little flow. Bum, 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 bum. Hey, that's probably in a bounce spot. These robot stocks are still holding up. You could probably roll with it, but not my exact cup of tea here. Hey, KMR, what are you watching today? Chunk. Yeah, see, all these robot companies are holding up here. Yeah, you could probably put them, but I think this is a little bit of a weird sector. You need all of these things to start to run for these things to get hot. There's a shot that this is just double topped, right? And now it's just farting around. We'll see. I would be interested in this if it kind of remounted the 9 EMA. I'd be interested in this if it remounted the 9 EMA. We started to come out of it. So I'll set some alerts on this in case it starts to get a little juicy. Otherwise, probably a leave alone. And the reason I'd say leave alone is right that all these things have been so dusted. But if we're gonna catch a bounce, I think this one is right at. If you're gonna catch a bounce in spec names, I think this one's right at the sweet spot. Like you have a good spot right there where you could potentially, if we get action, this is the one. You got a 6 stochastics. You're sitting right at the 50-day moving average, right at the lower Bollinger Band. You're about 30, 40 cents right off the support. This is probably the one. If we start to see some spec money fly around, you ain't getting better than probably a location on this. And even RGTI is like right starting to bounce. Now look, these are all $1 stocks, maybe even less than that, right? 50-cent stocks. But you are right just at a location for probably a little bit of a dead cat bounce, maybe to $8 or $9 right before they start to just roll back over. So I keep an eye on these. If they hold these lows, and the market is holding up, right? And the market's holding up. We need to make sure the market doesn't just rug. We had a little bit of pop. We had a little bit of pop from that PPI, but now we're kind of settling back. So far the reaction's just fairly muted, right? So we're gonna need a little bit more. We're gonna need a little bit more juice on these things. But if we get it, and they start to hold, then I think we come in with a little flavor on the sound hound. Let's see on the downside what we got going here. If there's anything juicy, you can see here. Hey, this Siggy Bear, bouncing here and there, everywhere. That is not bad. All right, that is not bad. I'm guessing this is earnings today. Yo, I would be into this. All right. So you got a big flat bottom breakdown on this. You got earnings out. All right. You also have kind of these $3-4 billion stocks, like they've all been getting crushed of the last handful of days. You got a really easy spot here. There'll be two issues on this. Number one is the liquidity, right? Like you got a few 100,000 shares so far, and you are trending down in the pre-market. So this is going to have good range. It'll just be like you got to watch your size. You can't size into something like this if it has a spread the same way that you would size into, let's say, like a Nvidia or something, right? That has like unlimited liquidity. Now the problem is, right? Nvidia only moves like $2 a day, so the unlimited liquidity has the downside too, right? You don't really get that much action in them. So I would add this bad boy to the watch list. Beyond that, this I'm kind of interested in too. We had a monster cock trender in a DJT yesterday. I mean, that's pretty damn. So we got a big little trender on this. Man, I'd be open with this. What do you think? I think so. I think that this we want to watch and see if it holds some supports and see if it's not just a 1 day thing. If it can get bought up, you're right back into kind of some demand from yesterday. If this gets bought up, we could probably try for the red to green on this. I'm not sure. Yesterday felt like a little bit fluky, but the liquidity was there. It did 50 million shares in volume. Week open, dude. I'm into it. What do you think? Heck yeah. All right, let's add this one too. Good. Now we're getting into a little fun dazzle. Let me get rid of all this shit here. I got Lululemon. They put some. I believe they already announced their earnings. It looks like, but they put also a little PR out yesterday. This one's got a good look to it. Like if you can break this out, this is a swing trade setup. You can day trade this too, but you got a good look for a swing trade setup. I am. I'm into this. I am into this. It trades a little thin, so you got to watch your size on this bad boy. But dude, you're into a spot on this. Add that. Dun, dun, dun. Hold on, let me get rid of some of this shit here. There we go. The other one I want you to add in, dude, this NBS, don't chase it up today. But this NBS, this is 2 days in a row. It opens weak and then ramps up. There's a buyer in here somewhere, right? Like this thing opens up weak and then it just ramps up. Even when the market's been a little bit shaky, right? Yesterday, right? Flushes down till about noon, and then boom, right? The fucking jets turn on this thing. And the range on this is pretty incredible, like 5 points on a $30 stock. This is a buy on all dips type of stock. This could be, if you're just looking at this on a relative strength basis and liquidity and sector and volume accumulation, all this kind of stuff, this one has a chance, right, to be kind of the hot stock for maybe the first quarter, right? Especially if it breaks out here. Ideally some pull on today would be good. And then remember, like this, it's been doing this every day. It'll grind down and then whoop, right? It starts to push up. It'll push down and then whoop. So the dips are getting bought. So we got a week open on this one. Let it pull and see if it starts to settle somewhere. If it does, dudes, we're coming in. We're coming in with the quesos. I'm liking this one. Good. TSM's popping through today. They got their earnings out in a couple days here. So you may get a little pre-earnings kind of push on this one, but it is just stuck in range. So you got to be a little bit careful. I know a couple people asked about that. I think that one is maybe not as juicy. This I'm into if it pulls back today. We had the big close yesterday. Now we got a gap up. Now look, it's gapped up half its ATR. And this is not the market to do any chasing. All right. Guys, there's markets to chase, and then there's markets that you got to get things low. What I mean is that, when we were trending up like this, for example, when we were trending up like that, up just right up that 9 EMA, this is like you can chase. Man, stock gaps up. It goes sideways for a few minutes. You can fucking rip it and it'll follow through and you can do all of that stuff. Now, for the last 1 month on to the dot, right, we've been grinding down, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? Your EMAs are pointing down. So this is not the spot where you can chase strength. So like oftentimes you may see gap ups and then you'll see like some little flag or something like that, and they'll just get rugged, right? Because the market cycle's shifted a little bit. Not completely, but a little bit, right? We're in a small distributive period where, right, things are just starting to digest and stuff. So, and we needed it, right? Because we had been in a run since August with really, not too much consolidation or pullback. So this is like a much needed break, right? You want to reset all these charts anyway. So Tesla looks great, but right, we need it to kind of settle up a little bit. We need it to settle up a little bit. Like you can't buy it if it breaks probably the pre-market high. I mean, you could, but it's a dangerous play, right? Like it may go, but it could get ruggy. I like this. If we can pull back somewhere and just get a little zone of love, right? Pull back into the bone zone, something along that end. we're going to be in for a good spot on this. If this is too expensive for you, right, just you can use TSSL. It's the right 2xe, a little bit cheaper. It still does shitload of volume. The Tesla moves 2%. This moves 4%. It moves 5%. This moves 10%. It's got a lot of liquidity. You can roll with this one too. And frankly, I think sometimes when they're a little bit, when they're these $400, $500 stocks, they move around so much per candle that sometimes you get a little bit, right? Sometimes you get you get shaken out and, all of this kind of stuff. So just be mindful of that. You can always trade one of these little cheapy McGee's and you should be, it might be a little bit easier for you. So let's watch this Tesla for the poll and we'll see what's up. So a couple of people asked about NVIDIA. To me, this just looks like it just stuck in range. Like, what do you do with it, right? Because your EMAs are flat. You're sitting right up under it. So you have a little bit of trend confusion, right? You don't have a trend, right? It's just been going sideways. It's at the same price it was in June, right? So 7, 8 months ago, it's at the exact same price as it was in June. It hasn't gone anywhere, right? It hasn't gone anywhere. So you got to always kind of keep that into the back of your head. Like, this is not a trending name anymore. It is going sideways. Your 50-day moving average is flat. Your 9-day moving average is flat. Your 20 is flat. The price is flat. Few days up, few days down, all around. Till it breaks out and comes out of this zone, it's just probably maybe a scalper type of setup where you take a buck here, buck there, but there's probably easier plays out there, right? So I think that one's probably for me a leave alone. ARM is in a little bit better location, but you can also see, right, like it for the most part is just stuck in a range, all right? It's in the same price as it was literally 1 year ago. It hasn't fucking gone anywhere. So as much time, think about how much time you spend on certain stocks, right? Like even in our chat room, how much time in the last year we spent like talking about ARM, right? And it's like in reality, it's just been stuck here. We had this one hot run from here to here. And so that you want to participate in, but otherwise, right, it's been a little bit of a Bugs McGee, right? You're just stuck in the rain, just waiting. Now, look, if it starts a breakout over 150, you have something, right? Till then, it's just a scalper too, right? Like, scalper is just something like you don't really have the wind at your back. You're just, if you see a good intraday setup, you take it. You're not going to get much out of it. You get a buck, you get $2, and you just move on. That's the way it goes. Out of these big boys, the one I'm interested in, I wish it didn't gap up so much, but the one I'm interested in is this PLTR, especially if it can remount this 50-day moving average. That's at a good spot right there, right? So you were at 85, you come to 63, so you retrace 20 points. You got pretty oversold on this bad boy. Yo, you DJ, pump this party. Why waste your time? You gotta be mine. Yo, Mucus, what's up? Watch this thing at the 50-day moving average. It's also up 2.5%, so it's going to probably have to just settle up a little bit, but it's at a good location. DJ Mucus. Yo, you can probably do this one. It is like probably a little bit more of a grinder, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like you have to use a stop at like 80. You have to put a stop at 80, and then you got first targets like 92. You can roll with it. Good. Let's add this Palantir to the watch list. Yeah, you can see here, like, there's still, if you do, what I would like to do, like, when you get into these kind of market conditions, so we've been pulling back for what, 30 days, right? So you do a 30-day short on some of your kind of just go-to stocks, right? You start to look and see which ones have been dusted off the most. Is there anything in here that, maybe could be like a good rubber band play or something like that? So that's usually a good spot. Or, if you want to trade like, larger names or something like that, you can do, say, the NASDAQ 100, right? And you do a 30-day sort, right? And you'll start to see kind of all the turds that, maybe are due for a bounce. So, a couple people asked about PanW. I think that's at a decent location, right? If the market can actually hold, then, you have yourself a little bit of a decent location. Now, that's a big what if, right? Like, you don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know if the market's going to hold. So it could watch bonds today. We could get a gap and grind, or we could just kind of run into some supply and fade off. It's a little bit tricky because you're not in that zone. Look, when you're trading over your EMAs, you got to stack the cash because every dip gets bought. Now you have all the supply on top. Look at, the levels of different supply here. It's right. It's a little bit of a poo-poo platter. That is, it's a little bit of a poo-poo platter. You got to like kind of eat through all this. And so when you got to eat through supply, it's like you test it and you absorb it, and you come back and you test it and you absorb it, and you come back and test and you absorb it. So this here, like this zone, this is not the time to like be like loading up like big positions or anything, because the market will just get rugged randomly because you got to eat through all this supply. Like it's like you got to go through and eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it, and you kind of finally push through, and that's when you got to go. Versus, all of this is just, hey, buy the fucking dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Like it's a much easier kind of setup. So when you see something like a PanW, it's got a bounce setup, but right, you may need a little confirmation. Now it does love to bounce up the 200-day moving average. You can see here it's been doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So it does like it tends to like that. So you're looking for a confirmation candle, right? Some type of reversal signal, something along that end to just right say like, yeah, baby, it's game time. Good. All right, so let's go back through this. We got APLD. We got TGTX. We got Palantir. We got the Lululemons. WBA, I'm taking off. It's red. I want to hit this NBIS on all dips. This may be gapping down too much today. It's much easier when they kind of have a light open. I'll keep an eye on it, but it's not the focus. And then we got Siggy Bear too. Siggy Bear, bouncing here and there, everywhere. And then for the Specky, if we need it, we'll try to bounce this sound. If the market gets hot and just starts ripping tits, we can go in with a little sound hound for the love, for the flavor. What are we missing? Yeah, we ain't missing much, baby. Yeah, you can maybe mess around with the TSM for like a pre-earnings run if you see semiconductors going. It's not an obscene type of play. If you were looking for, oversold large cap, right, Applehead got into a lot of different supports here too, but it already did kind of rip 5 points off the low. So just be mindful of that. DKNG. Hey, so this one's okay, Anu, but you're kind of just grinding right into resistance here, and you're on kind of day 4, day 5 of the move. It's a little bit of a butt of face, right? Good. TDOC, let me see, brother. We are the gummy bears. I think it's a leave alone. Not everything is buy or sell, right? Sometimes stocks are just stocks. This one, it looks like it's got maybe a little. Let me see what the news on this bad boy is. Until Doc stock gains as Amazon partnership fuels for consumer-centric healthcare. You could. I keep an eye on it if it sets up. You got 600,000 shares of volume, and you never know. APP could work too, right? You're sitting right at the 50-day moving average. It is stuck inside range too, but you got a nice, easy location on this one, Juice Man. I like it. I like it. Good. All right, brothers and sisters, let's go do the Lord's work today. Let's try to get shit done early so I can go mess around. All right, I love you guys. Peace.